Hi. So I'm Jane, obviously, and I'm the founder of a company called Labrador, and it's sort of a smart home play, but our first service and product that we're launching hopefully later this year is specifically around making domestic energy comparison and switching accurate and easier. So that's really the part that I'm going to walk through today. It's pre-launch, and obviously we've just really got some mock-ups, and I'm not a designer, so I'm really more interested in some of the UX feedback and sort of general broader feedback on the service. How many people in the room has done a comparison and switching exercise on USwitch or Money Supermarket or something like that? More than the general population. I think it's only about 3% use those sites in the country, so good. Excellent. So you should hopefully know a bit about what I think is a very painful and inaccurate journey, which is what we're trying to address. Our service is likely to probably start with you getting an email. We've got a partner with a large email database, and so we're planning on giving you an email with a bit of information about the smart switching service. It's really focusing on, I guess, the key points of how our service differentiates from that classic UX that's available at the moment, and trying to be sort of at the click of a button, you can be guaranteed to be on the best energy tariff for you, and we can give you accurate information about how much you're going to save, no sort of big estimate, and you find out down the track that actually it's about £300 out of what you thought you were going to save. So hopefully you find whatever email we come up with along those lines interesting enough to click through. And obviously on the website we'll have a bit more detail and explaining to people what on earth are smart meters. How many people in the room know what a smart meter is? Again, much better than average. Great. I guess just to quickly touch on what they are for people who don't know though, basically it's bringing the energy industry into the 21st century and making everything digital. So you'll no longer have to manually take meter reads and send them into your energy company for your bill. There'll be no more estimated bills. In theory, no more inaccurate direct debit amounts. And you'll be able to see in real time in pounds and pence how much you're spending. So instead of getting the bill and then having absolutely nothing that you can do to change the amount that you've spent, or no idea how to make that bill less in the future, you will have some tangible information. And the key thing about our offer is that we give you access to smart meters ahead of the market. There are about 1 million out there at the moment, but it's virtually impossible to get hold of one if you want one. Our smart meters work with any energy supplier at the moment. If you get a smart meter from your current supplier, it only works with them. We give you the free energy dashboard, which will give you this real-time information about how much you're using, and this switching service, so that we currently check that your usage against the daily price changes in the market and give you this one-click switch to be able to change if there's a better tariff out there for you. So yeah, obviously the intention is that people can find out some more information about smart meters, listed the benefits, which I haven't gone into detail here. There are 1 million people that already have one. They can sign up to our service on the basis that they already have one, or they might not be sure if they've got one or not, and we've got a service, if we've got time, I can sort of take you through that to help them understand if they do or they don't have one. But the tricky thing about our launch and this whole UX, which is really why I'm here, is that whilst we can make this much better service where it's accurate and it's one click and you're guaranteed to be saving money and anyone could audit us 24/7, we've got the data there. But the very first time that you sign up, we do have to take you through a switch, and there's some commercial reasons for that. And it's, I guess, our challenge and what we're trying to achieve is still being able to engage people to sign up and join in, despite the fact that we do have to replicate some of the journey that you will get on a USwitch or a Money Supermarket, and looking at how we might change that journey to make it a bit more attractive for people to engage in. And I think sort of my starting question is that do people really want a comparison necessarily? You know, they do have to switch to a tariff, but if they know that it's competitive, market leading, they get 3 smart meters, they get our lifetime service of always being on the best deal, everything's free, some people might just want to sign up then and there. So the first step one is to give people the option to do that. The next step though is, of course, people might want to actually, be a bit more incentivised to know how much they're going to save. So I just sort of take you through some example screens around that. One of the reasons why the current comparison and switching journey on websites is painful is because of a regulated code which is voluntary, which we're not subject to, which means that it gives us the opportunity to mix things up a bit more. And I guess what I'm sort of challenging here and putting out and wanting feedback on is the idea of that if you give people some information as to why you're asking what you're asking and the difference that makes in terms of what you're telling them, in terms of accurate information to help them make a decision, is that a good idea or not? Okay. So the things that make a difference in terms of is it going to be a good deal for you? First of all, is just simply your postcode. There are people get charged different amounts depending on what postcode they are. So it's saying if you put in your postcode, well, at the moment we think you're going to save this. If you put in your postcode, update it. Actually, it's 10% more accurate now we know that information. If you give us some more information, if you tell us who you're currently with, what tariff you're on, then again, it gets more accurate. And in fact, actually at this point, it's 75%, which is pretty accurate really, and you haven't had to go all through the painful processes in terms of how many bedrooms you have, how many people in your house, if you know, all that sort of stuff. But obviously, that option is there as well, that they can then click to enter their usage, just simply select a mandatory low, medium, high user, or answer all those other questions to then get probably a 90% accurate information to decide whether or not to join up. So that's really what I was wanting to sort of put out there and get some ideas back as to whether or not that's a good plan, another idea.
Thank you so much, Jane. We'll have a big round of applause. Well done. It's good to go first. So, Jane, did you have some specific questions that you wanted to ask at all? General feedback?
Yeah, sure. I mean, general feedback's fine as well.
Hello. The problem with something like electricity or gas supply is the product is something no one cares about. You don't get better quality electricity from one supplier to another. All you care about is the lowest cost. So a really good service would be one where you sign up, it works out through a smart meter what kind of user you are, high, medium, low, finds you the best tariff, and then does that every 6 months and automatically switches me.
That's exactly what we're doing. But the challenge is, though, is to get to that point, we still have to go through this sort of semi-journey, which is sort of similar but trying to be a bit different from the current thing. So after you've done this, every other time is exactly that. You don't have to do anything. You just one click every 6 months, done. You know that you're on the best deal. But before you get there, it's how we get you incentivised enough to sign up.
Hi, I'm just in the middle of a thoroughly miserable energy switch myself, and it's taken about 6 to 8 hours on the phone sorting out the mess, right? So I think one of the things you've got to look at isn't necessarily, I think you're really, really focused on the microscope level customer journey that you've got here, but I don't really think that's necessarily where you're going to make the difference. I think that in terms of building up people's understanding of what you're doing and their belief in your brand and their trust of the process is more important. I mean, you've only got to look at Apple to see how much brand makes a difference. People will queue outside Apple in the rain overnight to get Apple shit. So it's not like that's a good user experience or anything. They've got a powerful brand that people want to be a part of, and that's what makes them go through that experience, right?
Yeah, thank you. So, but do you think then that if we establish that, do you think then if we replicated a Money Supermarket or a U-Switch journey, then you wouldn't care? Or do you think that there's still some value in trying to make that better as well?
Well, I concentrate on being different, not necessarily being better, because I think one of I kind of understand how your service is different, but it's quite radically different from the way that a lot of, because you're almost like an intermediary, a middleman in the process as I understand it, and that's not what people are used to doing. So I think you have to kind of make it kind of deliberately look different. So you might have like cartoon avatars, or you might use circular or oval elements in the UI rather than squares, or just something so that people think, hey, this does not look like a normal electricity company, therefore it's not another switching site, it's something fundamentally different.
So even if it's asking sort of similar or the same information, as long as it looks different, it's...
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if people are bringing out, think about the original iMac, the one that was kind of like the transparent round one with the cathode ray tube in it. It kind of didn't make any attempt to hide how different it was. It accentuated its differences, and then people were willing to view it as a different kind of object because it was so visually different. And I think that you could gain a lot from a branding point of view by doing that kind of thing. But anyway, I'll hand over to somebody else soon.
Oh, thanks. Thanks very much.
Hi. I would agree with the first speaker that your energy is not an ego-intensive purchase. It's a commodity, and you cannot differentiate easily between the different suppliers. However, it's not just price. The customer service element is fundamental because you're in a complex area for the consumer who doesn't understand the difference between what the standing rate is, what the per unit rate is, and how the two are related. And anything that you do to simplify the purchase decision process, and I don't say dumb it down, but take away the complexity for the consumer, is going to win you the brownie points.
Yes, I think like tariff comparison rates and personal projections.
Hey, Jane. I guess to kind of draw all three of those points together, the thing that occurs to me is that people don't buy what or how this functions. They're going to buy why it's good for them. And the thing that you've done a really good job of of doing, certainly through the UX and UI that you've presented, is surfacing a lot of the how it works, kind of revealing your inner workings. People don't give a shit, right? Like, they need to buy first and foremost exactly what it is, and for you to demonstrate that you know better than they do exactly what's going to be good for them. Like, being better or different to USwitch, no one knows what USwitch really do, right? No one actively has a kind of positive or negative brand preconception of what USwitch are all about. Like, are they a government organization? Are they a private organization? No one knows. And I think for you guys to just sit with a super clear, this is what we are, this is how we do it, actually you have an opportunity to create a brand new articulation of a solution and kind of cut out everything else that kind of reveals your working, right?
Yep, great, thanks.
Hi. So you haven't as such pointed out whether you're putting people on lots of deals or one deal. But if you will assume you put everyone on the same deal because that's what you find is the best. If that is the best deal and it's a loss leader by that company, and that company's not going to pay you the commission to bring the people on, how do you sustain the business? How, are you putting people onto the best deal for them, or how are you going to keep it when you put people on the loss leader and these ones don't have the kickback?
So the first tariff that we're going to launch with will be sort of like a collective switch, if you're familiar with those, in terms of a special deal on the market that doesn't exist anywhere else. And there's commercial reasons that relate to the technology as to why that's the way.
So you already know who you're putting them onto?
Yes, on the first one, but then after that, then it's whole of market. We do the price check against every market change and give you advice. So at that point, it is full choice.
Okay, so just to explore that very quickly, if you're putting someone on someone for 6 months and they're providing a smart meter and then you're going to switch them away from it after 6 months before they can go into a higher rate standard tariff.
The commercial question.
Yeah. How are you going to maintain that relationship with these people if you're going to take them away from them straight away? How are you going to maintain this initial offering if it's...
Yeah, there's a number of advantages that we can offer suppliers in terms of making them interested. I mean, they've got binding targets with smart meters. It's not easy to get people to be interested in getting a smart meter, to be at home to get the installation. Having access to smart meter data when they may not have their systems ready for smart. We can perhaps enable them to have a smart strategy ahead of what they'd otherwise have. There's a number of different incentives that we can offer.
Thank you so much, Jane. I hope that was useful to you. Big round of applause,
thanks.
everybody, for Jane on that.